Hi, so this week in CIS 50, we're going to talk about professional ethics. So, kind of like business ethics, but more related to IT ethics. We're going to look at some different things. And anyhow, let's just jump in. I'll just show you. That will be easier. So, when you log into Moodle, and you might have noticed, some of you who are early birds or night owls, depends on which way you look at it, that I actually got this posted really late last night. And my goal is, especially on weeks that we have Zoom, is to get this posted by Sunday. And it took me a while because there was a new project I was developing. I'll talk about that in a minute. So it did take me a little bit to get it up, but I think in the future, it'll be easier for me to get it up earlier on Sunday so that the people signed up for Monday Zoom times have at least a chance to look at the think questions, because we're going to think about the thinks. Anyhow, when you come to class, you're going to see week 3 available. And when you open that up, you're going to see that we're going to talk about ethics in a professional organization. Like, what role do they play in creating codes of ethics? So make sure that you start off, I mean, you're watching this video right now, so make sure you start off with the checklist. I can't emphasize enough how the checklist is the glue that ties all these random tiles together. If you just click on tiles, you're not going to really have context, okay? So the two things that we have in the Think section today, this first one is a video from ACM. ACM is a professional IT organization, very, very old. It's been around for a long time. You can tell that by the name, because the actual name is the Association for Computing Machinery. Okay, so it kind of goes, that harkens back to the golden age of the starting of computers. Anyhow, but there's someone from ACM, and they have a whole section of their website devoted to ethics. Some really, really good resources there that I'll show you in a minute. So watch that. And the guy's kind of funny. He's totally a nerd. You can tell he's a computer guy just by how he talks. It's just really funny. And so the next thing that you're going to see here is this ethics defined. And that's a really short video, because one of the things we have to do this week is define how, or what is ethics? Like, what's the definition of that? And we're going to actually, that's going to be one of our Zoom topics this week, as I'm going to have you guys chew over this idea of what's ethics all about. And let's see if we can come up with something. So coming down here in the Learn section, what I did is I listed 4 codes of ethics. And some of you last week, when we were doing the crowdsourcing assignment, some of you pulled a few of these out, but I think there's 1 or 2 that you may not have seen. And so let's go to the ACM Code of Ethics. There's a few resources here I want to share with you. So this is probably one of the longest ones, okay? But it's broke down pretty easy, so you can see the different categories that it has here. But you keep going down the page. But if you're interested, this PDF is a really nicely readable, nicely formatted, kind of expanded version a little bit of what you're seeing here. So I downloaded the PDF. It's a little bit easier to read. And so that's just an option. You can download the PDF. No idea why there's Japanese on the page, or Spanish. Oh, yes, okay, they're doing it. I think that's Japanese and Spanish. Anyhow, so there's just lots of information here in the sidebar, but mostly we're interested in what their ethics are, what their code of ethics are. What do they think people that belong to their organization, how they should conduct themselves? This one is, so actually, let me jump here. I should have reorganized this a little. Let's jump to the IEEE Code of Ethics. So IEEE is, again, one of the very oldest organizations. It used to kind of stand for something, but I actually don't remember what, and I think they've changed it. I think they just call it IEEE now. Something about the International something of Electrical Engineers. So, but I think now they just call it IEEE. Anyhow, the point is, they also have a code of ethics, and they've got a glossary, like if you don't know what some of those words are. So kind of read through this. That one's not quite as long. It's sort of a short version. And then this one here, the Software Engineering Code of Ethics, is a joint effort between ACM and IEEE. Okay, so software engineers, you know, people that write software and work with software. And so this is specific to that profession. They've got a short version, and then they have a long version. I would encourage you to read through both. Definitely read through both versions. And then finally, We have the LOPSA, which I don't know, I think I would have picked different acronyms, but anyhow, that's what their organization is called, LOPSA. The League of Professional System Administrators. So these are the guys that run the networks and stuff, right? And so they have, it's not very long. They have kind of a shorter, well, it looks long, but it's all the categories are short. Anyhow, and they're kind of in collaboration with USENIX, which is the Advanced Computing Systems Association, and some other organizations. So they all kind of abide by the same thing. So the point is, read these 4 different codes of ethics, pull out the similarities. Like, are there some underlying principles that all of these professional organizations adhere to? And back to the why should you care video, like, why should you even care about all this? He talks about this. In some cases, when things happen, these codes of ethics, even though they're just codes, they're guidelines, they're not like, you know, in law, and nobody's getting arrested because of the code of ethics. However, in court cases, sometimes these codes of ethics will get brought up in cases of negligence or, you know, gross mismanagement or something. And they'll say, hey, this person should have known that this was inappropriate. And they'll cite the code of ethics for the organization that oversees the area that this person's working in. So they are pretty important. So for our do part this week, there's 2 easies and 1 that's a little more involved. And for the one that's a little more involved, I'm going to actually make a separate video just on this. But on the week 3 insights again, based on everything you've read and looked at this week, what I specifically, and it says this in the checklist, specifically, I want your insights to be what I just asked. You're going to read these codes of ethics and draw some conclusions, like pull out what's the underlying issues. But anyhow, read the checklist. I'll give you a little more guidance in the checklist there. In the Zoom chat this week, so you get points for just showing up and participating. That's a win, right? So there's 20 points worth of credit in the Zoom chat, 15 of which is just showing up, okay? But there is a report out from our discussion, and there's more details about that. You'll learn about that in Zoom. I will post to the Discord Zoom chat channel a couple of slides that will be our discussion outlines for today. And so for whatever reason you can't make it this week, you can still get partial credit if you respond to those questions, but respond to them on the, you'll see there's going to be a discussion forum for this week. It'll be like 3-discussion, okay? And so that's where you need to respond. But anyhow, but it's always better if you show up. And let's talk about Zoom for just a minute. When you do show up, let me backtrack here a little bit to the help desk. Before you show up, so you notice this is organized. We've talked about this before. General help, using Moodle. I've added some new things. So on the bottom of the checklist, I've got a new resources section so you can see what's new. There's actually several things that are new here. But down here in tech tips, please, please, please make sure you read Zoom etiquette. I made a really nice little infographic down at the bottom. That's kind of the shortcut cheat sheet. Please read that because that will make all the difference in how we do things this week. So there's also, if you don't like to write, because a lot of people don't like to write, Google Docs has a great voice to text feature built right in. And so look at that. It's a little short video and it's how to use that. Let me backtrack up here to show you what's new up here. This 2-minute tech tip refers to making links and finding editing tools anywhere you're in Moodle where you have a like in a discussion forum or an online text thing, you're going to have these tools. So this will be helpful for that. And then this other one, this will come in handy for this big assignment I'm going to talk to you about. So we'll come back to that because we're going to start using wikis this week. And I think you'll find that interesting. So let me bounce back down to September here. Finally, this last thing, the policy brief project overview. That's a big project. And for some of you, it's going to start this week. So what this does is this jumps up to where it actually lives because this is an ongoing semester long thing. I didn't want to put it in any particular week. So if you go to important information now, there's a whole section down here, policy brief project info. What in the heck's a policy brief? You should find out about that. Well, you will find out about that. Don't worry about all the details. We'll talk in Zoom about this. Here's the wiki. But the part you're most interested in today, like all that other stuff will come. The part you're most interested in today, and this gives you an overview of how it all works. You should read all this. Jump down, jump down, jump down. Keep going to your selection grid. Okay. So also an important information, there's now a class schedule that lists all the topics for the week. And so this grid is where you get to pick what topic you'd like to investigate. So you're going to pick a topic, like a big topic, and then within that topic, you're going to look up ethical issues that revolve around that topic. For example, privacy. Oh my gosh, how many ethical issues are there? Just think, like kids in everybody's doing Zoom now, right? So what if somebody walks by in the background, but the whole class can see them? Okay. Or what if their messages get intercepted? I mean, there's just all kinds of what ifs. So this you're going to look at is the what ifs, and put your name down. Now there's just a maximum of 6 people per topic. So you're going to end up doing 2 of these. Looks like Rhiannon's already got in there, so that's fantastic. You're only going to do 2 of these, but here's the catch, and I'll talk about this again in the video I make specifically for this. The catch is this is due, your policy paper is due the Sunday before the week we talk about the topic, because you're going to create a resource for the rest of the class. Okay. So it has to be available the week before. So next week, we're going to talk about privacy and copyright and IP, intellectual property. I should probably just spell that out, intellectual property. That means if you pick that topic, you have to have it done by September 20th, okay, at midnight. So that way it's available. And I might cut you a little bit of slack on that one if you get it in on Monday, but mostly we need to have it available for next week's discussions. And so anyhow, like I said, I'll go more into detail about how that is. I just mostly wanted you to know it's up here in the important information section under policy briefs. And now there's a class schedule available that kind of mirrors what you just saw. So you can look at that for topic-based class schedule. So this will be a really interesting week because we're going to look at what the professional organizations consider to be important. And we're going to compare some notes, and we're going to get to talk in Zoom about, I have a whole like post-it note about what I want to talk about in Zoom. Well, it's not a post-it note, but you know what I mean, close enough. And we're going to go through some of these details and things this week in Zoom. So I'm super excited to meet you. When you get into Zoom, just try to show up a few minutes early. It'll put you in a waiting room. I'll try to let people in a couple of minutes early, just to reiterate, just so you know where we're at. Or where to find the information to connect. Let me jump over to Discord. And if you go to our class site and click on Zoom chats, you're going to see this. Well, there's going to be a few more messages here now once you get here, because I'm going to post the slides. But this little pinned message part up top, how to connect, is always going to be pinned to the top. So if you're wondering, like, how do I get there? What link do I click? What's the password? Just go to Zoom chats, click on the pin, and no matter how many things are in the channel, this is pinned to the top. Super easy, right? Super, super easy. So have a great week. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Zoom, and get busy.